The main lesson of history is people don't learn the lessons of history. Coming out of the horrible depression of the 1930s, there were guys who came out of that very, very rich. I mean, I could name you some names that became wonderfully prominent, successful, rich financial types. They went into the 30s, poor boys from Tennessee or the Bronx or something, and they came out very, very rich. So it can happen for people who are attentive and apply themselves. The Depression ended in 1942 when I was born, so I don't know if it's going to be, the next one's going to be worse than the Depression, but it's certainly going to be the worst in my lifetime. And the financial markets, as I said before, with all this money printing, markets I think it's just wonderful. Give me trillions and trillions of dollars and I will show you a very, very good time. It's wonderful. I don't know about my kids or your kids or anything else, but it's not going to be good down the road because, yes, lots of money being printed and spent. Markets are going up. Markets love it. It looks like we may be entering a blow-off period, especially if we enter a blow-off period. Then when the next collapse comes, it is going to be very, very bad. In 2008, we had a problem because of too much debt. Well, since then, Adam, the debt everywhere skyrocketed, even in China. China didn't have any debt 20 years ago. Now even China's got a lot of debt. I don't know who's going to bail us out next time around. Probably nobody. And maybe even the money printers will run out of trees. They're going to have to print so much. So I worry when the next bear market comes. It's got to be worse than 2008 because the debt is much, much, much higher than in 2008. Now, unless you know some miracle that's going to do something about the debt, it's got to be worse. At the moment, there's no demand everywhere, so we're having deflation, or certainly not inflation, with airports empty, et cetera, et cetera. The price of gasoline is down, price of everything is down because there's no demand. But eventually, throughout history, when you print huge amounts of money, history's pretty clear. It has always eventually led to higher inflation when you print too much money. When demand comes back, it leads to inflation. It always had. Now, maybe it won't this time. Maybe somebody's coming, Janet Yellen says, don't worry, we've solved all the problems. We won't have a bear market again. She got a PhD from an Ivy League university. So if you believe her, then things are going to be great. But my reading of history is they're either going to default or print it away, inflate it away, make the paper money worthless. There is a new theory around at the moment, and whenever there are problems, anybody who's got a theory, if it sounds reasonable, people start to use it. Remember Mr. Marx? Mr. Marx had a great theory. There are a lot of people, it was a wonderful theory, and it sounded great for a long time, and a lot of people used it. Nobody believes in Marxism anymore. We figured out it was useless, but my goodness, a lot of people fell for it a long time. There's a new one now called MMT, More Money Today, and everybody wants more money today. You know that, and it sounds great, and maybe they're going to try it and fall for it and use it, which just means more and more. It debases the currency one way or the other, and you better own some assets that will maintain their value, whether they just continue to print it, or it's MMT, or borrow it and spend it, whatever. This has always eventually led to higher inflation. Well, this is not an opinion. This is a historic fact. Whenever currencies get debased, hard assets protect you. That's not an opinion. That's a simple fact. And yes, I expect that to happen again. For instance, I bought gold all my life, or nearly all my life, but I stopped in 2010. Didn't sell any. But in summer of 2019, I started buying gold and silver again. Not buying it today at the moment because of the correction, but I expect to buy a lot more gold and silver because historically, that has been a way to protect yourself and sometimes even to make a lot of money if you get the timing right.
Before we continue, help us by smashing that YouTube like button and subscribe now to this channel. This shows the algorithm that you value the information, and it helps us spread this message. Sharing is caring. Please like and subscribe now. Thank you. And now, let's continue.
At the moment, I have been buying agriculture, not a month or so, but I've added to my agriculture. Agriculture is a disaster, Adam. More people in America study public relations than study agriculture. The average age of farmers in America is 58. In Japan, it's 66. I can go on and on. The highest rate of suicide in the UK is in agriculture. I mean, it's a terrible place to be, has been. But as you know, anything that's been in a long depressed market for a while, when it turns around, somebody makes a lot of money. Silver's down 60% from its all-time high, 60%. Microsoft is not down 60% from its all-time high. You don't know much that's down 60%. Sugar is down 80% from its all-time high. I mean, Adam, in the I hate to use the word commodity because it's a loaded term, but in the real asset world, there are things that are down enormously, when things like Apple go up every day. Bonds, you talk about a bubble. Bonds are in a serious bubble. Interest rates have never been this low in recorded history. Never. But we got some bubbles out there, and we also have some depressed assets. As I look around the world, commodities, especially agriculture commodities, are the most depressed assets. Throughout history, Adam, yes, we've had, at times, history shown long periods when prosperity is growing and many people are getting better off. The last few years, decades have been like that, but we've also had long periods in history when things didn't get better for a long time worldwide, certainly in specific countries. I mean, Venezuela used to be extraordinarily rich. Venezuela is extraordinarily catastrophe right now. So yes, we have these gigantic cycles throughout history. I would suspect that the next time we have a problem, I told you it's going to be the worst in my lifetime, but it's the debt overhang. Unless they just inflate it away, that will ruin a lot of people. But many people will come out of that and make a huge fortune. In the early 20s in Germany, they just inflated it away and ruined a lot of people. On the other hand, there were plenty of smart guys who bought stocks right, who bought property right, and came out of the early 20s in Germany, out of the catastrophe, very, very, very rich. So some people will come out of this, even if it is a gigantic catastrophe. Most of us will not do well. I hope I survive, much less do well. But no, you have to be I urge you to watch peak prosperity and figure this out, because there are going to be lots of problems. And next time we have a bear market, it's going to last a long time, or they're going to just destroy a lot of people by printing the money or renouncing the debt, defaulting on the debt. In Russia right now, many people are still collecting their Soviet pensions. Yeah, but the money's worthless. The Russian government said, we're paying you what the Soviets promised. Well, of course they are, but you're not going very far on your Soviet pension in current rubles, I assure you. But governments do that all the time. It's not honest. If you trust governments, you're in serious trouble. Next thing you're probably going to do is tell me the Federal Reserve knows how to save the economy.
What to do in such a situation? Inform yourself and keep your financial education strong. We from the Compact Group offer our loyal subscribers a free educational portal with first-hand monetary, financial, and economic knowledge. Enter our invite-only Insider Club by clicking the link below. You will get access to first-class information far earlier than the rest. We have prepared a special deal for all our members where you can access a giant pool of Robert Kiyosaki's financial wisdom for just $1. To find out more, simply click the link below and join our Insider Club absolutely free. But there is more you can and should do. Build up several streams of income. More and more people realize that they have to take their future in their own hands, but they don't know how and where to start. We from Compact offer our Insider Club members unique opportunities. Strengthen your financial muscle and get the edge. Click the link below. Become part of our free Insider Club. No financial obligations. But there's one important thing you have to know. You have to become active. So do it now. Become active and see you on the other side.